come to order. This is a meeting of the Littlestown Area Board of School Directors. This is a live in-person meeting taking place in the public in accordance with the Sunshine Act. Members of the public who wish to address the board are required to do so by signing up to provide public comment at least 5 minutes prior to the meeting. By attending or commenting publicly in this meeting, you're consenting to the recording attention in future viewing of this meeting. I will do the roll call. Janelle Ressler.
Here.
Allie McCall.
Here.
Mary Brennan is not here. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We now recognize members of the public who have signed up to provide comment as stipulated in Policy 903. Please, when your name is called, please approach the podium, state your name, confirm you're a resident or taxpayer in the district, and your topic of discussion for the record. Public comment is limited to matters of district business that are or may be before the board. Comments that are not relevant to district business that is or may be before the board will be suspended. All statements shall be directed to the board as a whole, not to individual board members or administrators, and comments will be limited to 5 minutes or less. The privilege to speak may be interrupted, revoked, or a recess of the meeting may be called by the chair if the speaker fails to adhere to board policy or does not observe reasonable decorum and orderly conduct. Thank you. Dwayne Sullivan.
Good evening to the board. Tonight I want to address Policy 903 in regards to the statement that the chair just read. There's an article that was written March 17, 2022. It's in the Gettysburg Times. And this was addressed in 2022. And if you may, I would like to read this because it's very pertinent to what this board's trying to do now. The following exchange in letters between Littlestown Education Association co-presidents and the school board solicitor, P. Daniel Altman, Janelle Ressler, a parent with 3 in the school district, and her attorney, the Littlestown Area School Board, will be reviewing its public comment policy. The policy review stems from comments from Janelle, who has been addressing the board over the past several months regarding books in the school library she believes are obscene, pornographic, promote rape and drug use, and are critical of law enforcement. Prior to opening the public comment portion of the monthly board work session on Monday, Altman announced the board would not enforce a recently updated part of the policy that forbids public speakers from addressing or questioning board members individually and forbids public speakers from questioning or criticizing staff members by name or position. In a letter dated February 15, Solicitor Altman, at the request of the school board, sent Ressler a letter stating the new board policy. Altman also raised a defamation of character issues towards Ressler in the letter. The change in school board policy was put forth by the board following a complaint from Dan Lawrence and Michael Tippy, co-presidents of the Littlestown Education Association. Lawrence and Tippy in the letter contend that the Littlestown Education Association cannot allow bargaining unit members to be identified and their reputation is tarnished publicly during school board meetings. Ressler's attorney, Mark Scrangi of Scrangi Law, replied to Altman's letter defending Ressler's First Amendment rights during the public comment portion of the meeting. It is my client's position that she has a First Amendment right to address and question board members individually and to criticize specific staff members identified by name or position, Scrangi wrote in his letter addressed to the board, Solicitor Altman. Melissa Majewski, media law counselor for the Pennsylvania News Media Association, agreed in her opinion the policy changes made by the board violate Ressler's First Amendment rights and also are a clear violation of the Pennsylvania Sunshine Law. The public comment policy changes enacted by the board are inconsistent with the Sunshine Act and are also run afoul of the First Amendment. First, government actors like a school district cannot limit the right to speak in a public forum based on content of that speech. Here, the district's position is likely constitutionally infirm as it limits the content of the speech and prohibits speech about individual elected and public officials, stated Maluski. Ressler was the first to speak during the public comment portion of the meeting and referenced the letter she received from Alton. By now, you should have received and reviewed the response from the attorney. In the response, you can clearly see that Policy 903 is a blatant violation of the First Amendment rights of every resident of this school district. As my attorney's letter mentioned, the precedent has been set in the decision by the United States District Court for the Eastern District of Pennsylvania, Marshall v. Amuso, number 21-4336. In light of this, I am requesting that Policy 903 be revised to not try and attempt to violate the citizens of this district's First Amendment rights, said Ressler. Ressler also has raised an issue on how this new part of the policy was enacted. I do not ever remember this change in policy discussed in public and voted on in public by the full board. I believe this policy is a clear violation of my First Amendment rights, but also direct and clear violation of the Sunshine Law and Open Records Law, and I will continue to fight them on this issue, on the obscenity that they are allowing to be placed in school libraries. They have underestimated the fight that I have as a mother protecting my boys, said Ressler. Policy will be listed on the agenda and discussed by a regular board meeting, according to Alton. I just basically wanted to read that just to let you all know that restricting public comment with the statements that are made prior to public comment is unconstitutional. You're just trampling on everybody's First Amendment right. We're allowed to come up here and speak and address everybody and say what we need to say. Under your own policy, it clearly says here, the board shall provide an opportunity at each open meeting of the Board of Residents and Taxpayers to comment on matters of concern, official action or deliberation which are or may be before the board prior to the official action of the board. So that means anything we're concerned about. So you all need to stop restricting public speech up here. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Turning to presentations, we have Mr. Moran with some special guests tonight. So we are excited to hear what you guys are going to bring forward to the board.
So as they're getting ready, this is a continuation of our review of the resources, getting some alignment in with our curriculum. This is specifically for science and aligned to our skills content. Mr. Powell's done a lot of work. You've seen him here a couple times. We have a couple of teachers with us who have been using it, and to my understanding are very excited about it. The kids are excited about it. So I'm really excited to be here. Again, excited to hear what you guys have to say tonight.
So on behalf of, again, I'll just introduce everybody, have everybody introduce themselves so we can just make clarity for everybody that's here, and we have two additional people that can deal with this as well.
Yeah, Brett Powell. I teach physics at the high school, but I've been helping out with science K through 12.
Robert Lackey, 4th grade here at Alwood Creek.
And Teresa Coons, 5th grade.
And then my two colleagues back here, just introduce yourself just so they.
I'm Ryan Toman. I teach 4th grade.
And Steph Zeitler, also math and science in 4th grade.
So, we're excited about the opportunity tonight to go to the next step and bring the mystery science back to you guys. We've had a chance to finish up our pilot, and we've had a chance to get some communication with West York School District, some other colleagues who are using it, and a chance for ourselves to be able to debrief where do we want to go, what is the next step for us. So I want to start with their students. And because, again, anything that we do should be centered around what's best for our students and what will help them to be successful. So we did a survey of our students in 4th and 5th grade only to ask them and pose that question: how much do you like your current science class, referring again to the work and what's being done with mystery science here this year. And overwhelmingly, you can see 96% of our students, so that would be in categories 3, 4, and 5 there, 96% of our students are rating it as a 3, 4, or 5. And when you look at the two far right columns, which would be the highest levels there. That's approximately 81% of our kids. So again, the majority of our kids are telling us right off the bat that they are engaged and enjoying what they're getting this year out of their science experience at Illinois. So we're really excited and happy about that. The second slide goes into a little bit more detail. The question was to ask students, how did they rate whether you agree with the statements about your science lesson? So again, the first piece about engagement, the second piece about the content, okay? So that first piece there talks about, on the left there's, so before I say that, just the purple and the green would be those categories that fall in strongly agree or agree. And again, that's really what we're looking for from that feedback to the test, what I call in the positive end. Obviously, if the blue was the predominant color up there, then obviously we would be concerned with from that perspective. So the activities were fun and interesting. Again, going back to engagement, so that was extremely high from our students. As we move across there, I think this one's a telltale sign. I understood the new science ideas we learned. So again, their ability to begin to understand the content that's being presented to them from their teachers. The third column, the middle column there, the experiments help me learn better. So again, the experiences of what's occurring inside the class through the lab activities and the hands-on activities that our teachers are presenting to them as a result of the mystery science is again engaging and connecting our students to a better educational experience. Interesting, the fourth question there says, I feel like a real scientist during class. Obviously, you can see that sort of now goes sort of a balanced approach, and some of that can factor into many things, depending on a kid's favorite subject area. Some kids love math, some kids love ELA, some kids will love science, social studies, PE, the like. And so that factors in, so I'm not surprised by that when you talk about that feeling of science and a scientist. There's a balance there between how kids felt about that. The last one, which I think is also a strong point, the content was challenging for them, but not to the point that they became too frustrated. So again, the presentation style of our teachers, the activities from the mystery science allow those students to feel that they can be challenged, but also not frustrated by what they were learning. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Brett here.
So when we started looking at all of this stuff, it really was because of the new SEAL standards. And they really are trying to get students to focus on these things. So we wanted to increase engagement. The new standards really need students to explain their scientific thinking, record observations, and it has to be focused on real-world phenomena. And we wanted consistent instruction across the grade levels. So we can go next slide. So if you boil that down, like what do students need to develop skills in? And there would be observation, questioning, evidence-based reasoning, and problem solving. So mystery science, we think, does that. What's nice about it too is it's really teacher-friendly. Right out of the box, it has step-by-step instructions, videos, materials. It has made teachers' lives much easier as well, so they can focus on what they really need to focus on, which is the students, and promoting student learning with the majority of their time. So if we ask why mystery science, why is this the choice? It is SEALs aligned, which is, it has to be, since those are our new standards. It also, I see it as something that, this is where I've been working with a lot of that vertical alignment, K through 12. I think it really does fit in nicely with what we're trying to do in the middle school, and then ultimately that will help us at the high school, and then ultimately, hopefully, college or career in the future. It is students doing science to learn science, which really is awesome. It is sustainable in cost, so that's great. In terms of the curriculum itself, it's K through 5, so it's not just one grade or one classroom. This is really something that can be implemented K through 5. It starts out with that real world phenomenon, that mystery question. Traditional science, in some ways, was almost like beating the curiosity out of kids. This really leverages their curiosity and cultivates that, which is exciting. And then they're going to investigate the answers to those exciting, curious questions with the discussion, the videos, hands-on activities. So we just think it's great for the students. So this, if you were to bring it all together, there's really 4 good reasons why we want to adopt Mystery Science. It's engaging, it's standards aligned, it's teacher and student friendly, and it's that inquiry-based instruction. And then you guys can jump in.
All right, how y'all doing? What we like about this curriculum is how it fosters critical thinking by presenting the scientific phenomenon up front, sort of how Brett mentioned there. So for example, every lesson starts off with a question like, could you knock down a building using only dominoes? Mystery Science starts off every lesson with questions like this. They get the students talking, excited, but most importantly, thinking critically about everyday topics. I also like how every lesson has a hands-on activity. The lessons come with everything you need to be successful, lab prep, supplies, how-to videos, so that you and the students can focus on, enjoying science and doing hands-on activities each week instead of worrying about like, how am I going to teach this? We strongly support this curriculum. It's been a really good experience.
And most importantly would be one of the things that we enjoy is the cross-curricular connection. So if you look at this list over here, there's reading and listening comprehension through the videos and the articles that are provided. Also writing, we're always looking for more areas other than ELA just to incorporate writing, and within the labs and activities as well as the assessments. So the assessments are a good balance between multiple choice as well as those open-ended questions. Vocabulary development, one area where students are usually the most weakest, and we have every lesson has vocabulary. 4th and 5th grade has started talking with this pilot about how 5th grade can build on 4th grade and what they're doing and different ways to incorporate that so they're not just seeing it in ELA. The best part, math, yay. There's a lot of math connections in it. So right now we're doing with the pilot, the unit was on water. And there we're looking at the salt water versus fresh water, and we created a graph, and when the kids looked at it and saw the little bit of fresh water that we have in the world, they're like, how are we able to do all of this? And then it turned into a discussion about aquifers, which then some kids actually were able to make the personal connection of having a well in their backyard. So just all of those areas, tying it together, is exactly what you're going to see on tests later on with PSSA. So I just feel like, or we all feel like, they're going to be very prepared because of all of these areas within Mystery Science.
So going back to our survey that we had at our students, it says, what activities did you enjoy the most in your science class as they were working through Mystery Science? Again, as continues to be the theme, and obviously what you want in any solid science program is hands-on experiments and investigation. 78% of our kids elected to do that. Obviously the setup with the information, the videos that Mystery Science puts together help open those conversations, and the demonstrations that they show, again, sparks our students' interest, and as well as helps to support our teachers in delivering that information. Obviously, in any good classroom, you've got to have your students engaged with each other and working together, whether we're in small groups or larger groups. And our Mystery Science curriculum does set us up for success with that. And then that final one there at the bottom is sort of building or designing things, sort of those engineering concepts. Again, 73%, 74% of our students really enjoyed that part of what we're doing. So again, we want to continue to feed into what kids are interested in, what they're connected to. The win for us is this Mystery Science is allowing us to then connect to what the state is also expecting us to do, align it to the STIL standards. So that's became a win-win for us. How well did the curriculum help you practice these science skills? So again, looking for the orange to the yellow as the area, and obviously yellow did in the best case very well. So again, there at the bottom on the left as we move over, asking questions and defining problems. Again, kids, again, are focused in that as we went through the pilot. Planning and carrying out investigations, experiments, you can see that's probably our strongest area. The kids have had an opportunity to really get engaged in some of the physical pieces of the lab parts in their class, and again, it's been a highlight for them. Analyzing and interpreting data, again, that's something that will continue to go in, and that's that cross-curricular that Teresa talked about there with our math class. So again, that ability to be able, and that's one of the nice things too, is particularly in grades 3, 4, and 5, the math and science teacher is the same teacher, so they are providing both sets of curricular instruction, and that allows itself to go hand in hand, so we're really excited about that opportunity. And then obviously K-2, self-contained, it's still the same teacher there too, so again, that gives that math science approach just naturally. Constructing explanations and designing solutions, again, that's the future of education right there. Is helping kids to be able to design and figure out and problem solve to create solutions to whatever problems in front of them. So again, this reiterates and reinforces that skill. And then really arguing from evidence, explanation of why things happen. So again, that's part of that narrative of the writing component that we want to continue to build at the elementary school, and to help support our friends over in the ELA world through that reading and writing lens. And again, we feel like this is a step in that direction that allows that to happen. Unfortunately, we did get to go visit in person. We had that scheduled. The weather threw a little bit of a curveball into our plans. So rather than sitting back, I give a lot of credit to our team of teachers. They took the initiative to meet with the West York staff. So we were able to get into some virtual discussions with their staff, which again is the next best thing to actually making the visit over there. And some of the strengths that was mentioned and pulled out of those conversations, again, and just for clarity a little bit with West York, is they are in year 1 of full implementation. So they went through their preparing and planning last year and making a choice in their curriculum choice. They made that, they completed that last year, and now they're in their first full year of actual teaching the mystery science curriculum. So highly engaged and student-centered, again, continues to be a theme we hear. Strong emphasis on hands-on experimental learning. Again, what we believe mystery science will provide us too. It's flexible and adaptable to meet the diverse classroom needs, and as we talk about working with all of our students, so whether it's our special ed students, whether it's our highest achieving students, we want to create and have the opportunity to meet all kids' needs, and we believe mystery science will do that for us. High teacher satisfaction and positive structural experiences. We all know that teacher is the single most important defining factor in student success. So having our teachers to have a resource that they are happy with, they feel is successful, and it also is aligned to what the state expects from us. Again, that's a win-win situation, and that's what we want to create. Consideration, they mentioned there, hands-on learning can be less structured, at times reflecting authentic student engagement, and they talk about recommendations there, maintain implementation flexibility to allow teachers to adapt instruction in ways that best support student achievement. They have a little bit of a different structure with their science. They sort of pair that with social studies, where part of the year they're doing science, part of the year they're doing social studies. So that creates a little bit of time. We probably have a little bit more time devoted to science than what they have, which again I would say is a win for us as well, too. One of the important things, and we did not want to leave this out, is well, what is our K-3 teachers here telling us about that? Even though they weren't directly involved with the pilot, it gave them an opportunity to explore the resource, get some of the information behind the scenes, hear some of our conversations. And as one, Ms. Mitchell asked me, can I try some of the information? Can I use some of the information? I said, sure, that's part of exploring and putting that there. So she's had an opportunity to really dig into it a little bit deeper. The students, so some of the information here, the students stop and discuss the topic or details at timely intervals. So again, that goes back to the connections and the engagement that kids are having. The lesson activities are age appropriate and standard driven. That's one of the beautiful things of the mystery science. It is tailored K-5. It is a full K-5 curriculum. So it represents each level really well for what that level needs. Many students have made connections to the lesson since we completed it. So again, as they looked at some information, students are coming back to that, and that's a sign of progress of true learning taking place if they're able to bring and retrieve that information back. And then really just connecting at that bottom point to small groups. The teacher said it's amazing to hear them bringing the content of the science piece up after they're reading the book, during small group instruction, or writing informational paragraphs. So again, the reading and writing, kids are now bringing what they're learning in science to those avenues as well. And that's, again, a nice cross-curricular piece of that as well. So really the final piece here is really what we're asking is the opportunity to move forward with the mystery science curriculum. We really believe it'll make a more efficient, deliverable piece for our teachers, centered around science instruction. And obviously, one of my strong beliefs in the building, I know the majority of people believe as well, is we want to support each other. So again, supporting their literacy skills alongside with their science and learning, again, is making that a collaborative approach. And why we're bringing this back to the board to ask for what I would call official approval of the science curriculum for the 26-27 school year and beyond. That concludes our report.
Great, thank you.
Should we ask questions?
Yeah, I'll open it up I first want to thank you all for coming and presenting, and for all the work you're doing with this. For what it sounds like, this seems to be a great resource for our district to take advantage of. And it sounds like things are going really great with the kids, and that they are really having a great time and learning a lot that is hopefully going to help us align with our state standards going forward. So, Al?
Yeah. How long has West York had mystery science?
So this was their first full year of implementation where they're actually teaching from the curriculum. Last year they did it, and I'm going to pass the buck here a little bit. So Ms. Coombs actually came from Trimmer Elementary, which is over in West York,
Right.
to come with us. So if you want to get
Yeah,
a little
so
better.
they did the pilot last year. 2 teachers from each grade level were chosen to do that. And then at the end of the year, so in West York, they do 2 marking periods of social studies, and they have the Littlestown curriculum that goes into that, and then the 2 marking periods of science. So this, obviously, mystery science needs to be spread throughout the whole year. So at the end, there were 3 units that were left, and so the other 3 teachers, we each took 1, and I was able to actually pilot one of the units as well. And so that sparked my curiosity when I came here, seeing what we had here, and they said mystery science. I was like, yes, it's so user-friendly, and as you can see from all of the data, the kids absolutely love it. So they went ahead, purchased it, and now they're in their first full year of implementing it there at West York.
A couple of things, well, I think it's hard to argue with anything that you shared tonight, but a couple of things that stood out to me. 3 of the areas that the kids liked the most regarding the instructional activities had nothing to do with being in front of an iPad or a computer screen, which I thought was pretty cool. Because frankly, I think maybe a lot of schools overdo the screen time. Secondly, I think a lot of elementary teachers are teaching multiple subjects, and to have a user-friendly, structured lesson plan like that, that's going to be consistently delivered to all the students. So it's not, what you're getting isn't based upon the teacher and the favorite things that they're doing. It's more of a consistent delivery, and that every child in that grade level is getting a pretty consistent lesson and so on. So that's pretty impressive as well. And I just think, my final thing is that I think you've really done your homework, and I really appreciate you coming tonight and sharing what you have here. And I'm looking forward to our test scores just going through the roof. Thank you.
I think it's great. Out of 5 of my children, 3 of them have had 1, 2, 3, 4 of you. And 1 currently talks about he loves school, and I just think that this is a great thing to, and if he struggled with reading and some of his writing, and he's really grown the last 2 years. I think this is a great piece that it ties in not only math, but the ELA part, the science part, and it's fun, and they're learning and don't realize that they're learning. So I think it's fantastic. I mean, I hear about it a lot. So, yeah.
Well,
I like the hands-on aspect. That's fun. I think the more they're hands-on, the more they become engaged, and it just positive. That sounds great. Yep.
I like the cross-curricular. Again, with the ELA, the writing, now you saw in the data, the kids don't love to write, right? But the more you write, the better you get at writing. So I really like that. We've seen over the last couple of years, the data in our vocabulary, kids struggle with that. So I love that piece. That'll really help as well.
So I would just support what Judy's saying there. Like, yeah, I did recognize that too within the data set of the feedback that kids gave about the reading and the writing, which we all know has been one of our challenges that we have to continue to work through. So this helps move us in that direction to be able to better support that. Because again, you take something that kids are truly engaged about, and now they're going to write about it more. That will become a better product in the end, and then they're also going to want to read more about what it is. So I think it's going to help us across the board in those areas.
Thank you for taking the time to meet with the other schools.
Yeah.
And thank you for, even though that didn't work out because of the weather, that you still took initiative to meet with them. I think that shows that you're committed, it's important, and just the time and effort that you guys put into this. And thank you for being here tonight to present to us again.
We're a pretty rock star team.
I know.
Absolutely. And Dr. Berry, on the budgetary side, this will be incorporated in the curriculum budget.
So the nice thing, once the board votes on the 16th, if we get the go-ahead, I had put it into the Ready to Learn grant for this year. So for K-5, it is less than $10,000. So when we talk about cost-effective and sustainable, it's very sustainable. And it's not $10,000 every year, because some of those are supplies up front. Now, there's some consumables in there that we will have to replenish from year to year, but it's very cost-effective, which, of course, we like. Yes, it's already budgeted for, and money is earmarked.
So is the committee in favor of moving this forward to the full board for a vote?
Absolutely. Yeah.
You guys did it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. We appreciate your time and you coming to present to us, and we look forward to hopefully a 9-0 vote from the board to approve this great program. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. So our next topic, Dr. Berryman, is the K-12 guidance plan.
And while just as important, it's not quite as exciting as talking about ministry science. Carrie, if you want to click on that, this will be on our website as well, so you'll be able to go through it. What I passed out to you are the highlights of this plan. So every 3 years, wait, that's not right. That's okay. If you just look at the document that I handed out, they'll get to that. So every 3 years, school districts need to develop and work on a K-12 guidance plan. And we spent quite a bit of time on this 3 years ago when it was developed for the district. So this time through, what we were able to do is take what's working and enhance it, and then some areas that we needed to make some changes to, we were able to do that. So what I did is I went through and I broke it down by some categories. So we had to have a lead counselor as part of the program or the plan, and that's who will sign off on it after the board votes on it. So it would be the lead counselor and Dr. Moyer. And so then it also goes through and it establishes some administrative oversights and accountability. So what we do is we took a look at what is the mission and vision of the school counseling department, and we had all the counselors. So at the last in-service day in January, I worked with all the school counselors, K-12, to make sure we had everything in this plan that we needed. So it needs to address academic, career, social aspects for all of our students. It takes a look at our CTE, takes a look at workforce readiness, responsible citizenship, and then emphasis lifelong learning. We only have one truly approved program at Littlestown for CTE, which is the Ag Sciences at the high school. Now, we do offer the standards-based NOCTIs in a number of other classes, but they're not like full, like Perkins Grant, not the exams. Going down, we also make sure that we have curriculum for students, so we look at occupational and educational information for all students, realistic career planning, which they start a little bit at the elementary and then really work on that at the middle school and the high school. At the high school, Dr. Lewis does a nice job of culminating that into them doing their cover letters, their resumes, getting out their names and to look if they were applying for jobs and doing some things like that. We then also maintain a monthly K-12 guidance counselor calendar so that students and parents know what to expect every month, especially at the high school level. At the elementary, they have one for some of their lessons that they go out to do, as well as Deb Allison in the middle school. We also take a look at, when we're looking at what our strengths are and what our kids need as far as career paths, we take a look at the Future Ready data that we get, and then the career and work standards, which were just updated, so we make sure those are updated within our curriculum. We take a look at occupational information, maintaining diverse and inclusive listing of external career resources, and this is where we bring in some of our business partners too and find out where our kids want to go. You know, we have some at architectural design sometimes, GraphCom, KLK, out at Hanover Auto Group, so really just keeping the lines open with our different business partners, making sure our kids get some work-based learning experiences. We've talked over the years about how we have increased our partnerships with post-secondary, so we have PAC, Harrisburg, college to some degree for some kids who take some dual enrollment there, so just looking at making sure we're keeping those avenues open for our kids. Looking at our records, so we maintain student records. We have to for a number of years, so that's part of our retention program, but we also have that in our counseling plan to make sure that we are maintaining those records and that everything is Chapter 339 compliant and follows those regulations. A little bit about CTC, we make sure that we work with them to have some parent engagement, so they come in every year to talk to our kids. We promote their family engagement nights with our parents and our students, working with some of their educators up there, and then also having their post-secondary education. So a lot of our kids that go to ACTI also take courses through PAC as part of those programs, which I guess you would know.
I would know.
You would know. And we also make sure that our kids know as they're transitioning out of high school what their options are, and so their counselors can help them with that, whether they're going into the workforce, post-secondary education, military options, or other pathways that they might explore. So we try to make sure that we are working with students to make that plan for them so that they have something solid, that when they leave us, when they graduate, that they have a really good grasp on what comes next in their life. And then making sure that we are consulting with people throughout this plan and making sure that we are doing what we are saying that we are doing and getting some feedback. So one of the things that, if you look at, this will be posted online, and if you take a look at it, something we were negligent in, and I'm just gonna be completely honest with you, is the last plan that we put forward was to have advisory meetings at least once a year. Sometimes you could do like twice a year. And when I got back with the counselors, I found out, and this is no fault of their own, so please, it's not the counselors, we were not holding our advisory meetings. So we are rectifying that, and we're holding our first advisory meeting in March. So that is already scheduled, and we'll have community members who are invited to that as well. So that we are getting input from all of our groups. And that is our Chapter 339 plan. Again, it's linked in your documents, but it will also be on the website for community members to review.
Any questions on the guidance plan for Dr. Berryman?
And Dr. Berryman, that advisory committee or plan or group will be a pretty representative group of businesses, staff members, school board
Parents.
members, just a very representative group of the
Yes,
community.
yes, thank you for asking that, yes.
Any other questions? Is the committee in favor of moving this forward to the full board for approval?
Yes. Yes.
All right.
And I will email, Mrs. Brennan a copy, if she needs to have a copy, if she can get it.
All right, policy review.
Okay, so we have only 3 policies this month, but one of them is pretty easy. So we'll start though with 105.2, which is a review of instructional materials by parents, guardians, and students. This is just an updated policy by PSBA. It is completely aligned with what we already have. So the correct selections were made when it asked Silicon. The second page, written request will be sent to the voting principal. That is aligned with our current policy. No more than 1 request per semester is also with our current policy. So this is just updated PSBA, but like very, very minute changes with our policy.
That's very good. I actually, I don't like that we only allow parents 1 request per semester. I think that as a parent, if they want to come in a couple times a month, they should be able to do that. I don't think we should tell parents you only get to choose to come in 1 time a semester to review it. I would like to see that on X unmarked, and it can be unlimited.
Is there any further discussion on that?
Other than that, I'm fine with this policy update.
Is there a specific rationale behind that?
I don't know when the policy was first developed, what the rationale was, that they chose 1 per semester. If I had to wager a guess, it would be if you, especially if you're a semester class, or if you wanted to come in at the beginning of a semester to sit down with the teacher and review the curriculum or the resources that were going to be used for that semester, and then you could come in like mid-year and then review the stuff that's being used for the following semester. That would be my guess as to why they pick 1 per semester, because you could come in and preview everything from the fall, early winter, and then late winter to the spring.
So you can view all the material.
With the teacher that time, yeah.
Okay.
Like, you could go through the syllabus, what,
Right, but just
materials
one
they're
time.
using for that semester, and then
Yeah.
come in again, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, because sometimes parents might go home, think on it, sleep on it, maybe talk to another parent, have more questions. And if they've already used that 1 time in September or August, they can't come back in to look at stuff. So I really would like to see that nixed altogether.
As a parent, I agree with that. Personally, I do.
Yeah.
And is this one necessarily a PSBA recommendation, or is it?
It's board optional.
Okay.
Yeah, it's completely up to, what the board would like to do. Our past policy had it checked, and generally when we, do our policy within the PSBA, I generally recommend what they have on there. It's a board decision though.
Yeah, I would personally would like to see that taken, not just removed.
You're
I mean, yeah.
in favor of that as well?
Yeah, I am.
You would desire to change that, and that'll be unmarked for the policy.
Can we just take the whole thing out instead of having it unmarked? Can we just remove?
It'll come out in the
Okay.
final draft.
Okay.
All right, we can move on, and we'll move on.
Oh, sure, okay. So policy 718, has been updated. So our previous policy, really just talked about service animals, mostly looking at service dogs. If you guys have looked at this, I was asked to also send this to our solicitor, which I'm trying not to look at people. And I did. So the policy now includes, with our service animal, or our service policy, miniature horses. And I did reach out to Dave and asked, you know, can you take a look at this? Is it, and it is encumbered by law. So it is under the advice of our solicitors that we do not remove that. And not that we were actually looking to remove it, just to be fair. We just wanted to find out like why it was added. And it is part of law now. So he strongly recommends that we do not take that out of the policy.
Are there any other animals that we don't know about that you brought up during your conversation?
No, just dogs. And they do have to, I mean, and if you guys read through this, there's a number of things like that it has to do, like there's guidelines.
Yes.
It's not like we're just allowing
right.
miniature, well, and we don't just allow dogs, right? Like,
Yeah.
so there's guidance for it and recommendations that we have to follow before any service animal comes on property.
I would say don't be totally surprised. As you may or may not be aware, the Land of Little Horses just had a big auction, and I think all 25 of their miniature horses were sold, and they went for a pretty high amount. I don't know if any Littlestown residents bought any of those, but it is a possibility.
Might see horses.
Do you know offhand if there are any service animals currently in use in the district? So it's not like it's a common occurrence, and that we're in the Littlestown area school district's going to become the land of little horses.
No, I was going to say, in my years of education, I've only had 2 students with service dogs.
I would say in my last year helping out at McDaniel College, it was a freshman required course over the semester break. Of my 18 students, I did have 3 that had service dogs, 3 of my students there. So these are 17 and 18-year-old people. So it's starting to become more common as, for whatever reason, our young people, a lot of our teenagers are feeling anxious and with anxiety, and that seems to be something that is a resource that does help them. But I wouldn't be surprised, I'll just put it that way.
So with that, though, this doesn't cover emotional support, right? This is just service. It has to
Service, they
do
have to
something.
perform a task for the individual.
So, and if there's any, I mean, if anyone has or requires a service dog, is this students and staff or just students?
Students and staff.
Students and staff.
So if any students or staff require a service dog, the district will could apply and follow policy in the law to make the appropriate accommodations.
Dr. Behrman, can you just clarify what the tasks are that the animal has to help with? Well, I'm going to ask the student, but I wasn't sure.
I don't know if there's specific tasks in the policy.
They're not
It's just
specifically listed.
all-encompassing.
Yeah, but so like, I know there are service dogs who, can be trained for people with seizures.
Yeah.
That if they're ready to, yeah, so that's a task they could help with.
My daughter actually has a service dog
Mhm.
because she has a brain injury and sometimes she'll have seizures and certain when her blood sugar can affect things. So
Okay.
And the dog can alert her that she maybe is down. Okay, that's awesome.
All right, and 8:15.3.
Okay, so the long-awaited use of generative artificial intelligence in education. I don't know if you had opportunity to read through this ahead of time. I did go ahead and prepare a little bit of guidance. So I'm going to read down through some things about the policy, and then if you have any questions, then we can go through section by section of questions that you have. So just generally as an oversight, this policy provides clear guidelines for the responsible use of generative artificial intelligence in our schools. It's already a part of our students' daily lives. Rather than ignore it, we really need to have this policy in place for their safety, ethical use, responsibilities within our district. And this has been a team effort. We've been working with principals, our tech department, even other members of our admin team, working with a group of teacher leaders. So again, policies needed so that we can, like the teachers and the students are already creating, you can create text and videos and films and other content, but we need to make sure that we are mitigating those risks and that we're putting it in front of students in a responsible way, that we pick resources that protect student data, academic integrity, that comes up a lot, and that we are making sure that we are taking a look at bias and misconceptions or misinformation, and then that we are legally compliant. So one of the things that we really take a look at and that we're taking a look at a resource is what kind of guardrails and guidelines are put in place so that our kids' data can't be breached. They literally cannot cheat using this resource. We've tested it. So just making sure that kids know when they can use AI, when they can't use AI, and if they are using AI, how they're permitted to use it and what resource they're allowed to use. So one of the things we really took a look at is, for in this policy, is that it protects privacy and security. So they will be reviewed for data privacy to make sure they have a high rating, and our tech team is really taking a look at that so that we don't have any data breaches, that it's age appropriate, accessible, and without bias, and it has to comply with all the federal laws such as FERPA, IDEA, ADA, CIPA, and the COPA. Second, it maintains human oversight, so it cannot make employment decisions or final determination on student grades or any type of evaluation systems. Like, we don't take the humans out of any of those equations. And it cannot be used to be the sole discretion of disciplining a student for an academic assignment. So like, you can't just say this kid used AI and give them a disciplinary action based on your thought that it's AI or a grade on it. So you can't be solely using AI to detect that. You have to bring the human element into it. Third, it protects academic integrity. They may use AI when a teacher explicitly allows it. If permission is not given, AI use is not permitted, and AI-generated content must be properly cited. So there are ways to cite AI, and it's important for our kids to know that. I was saying to somebody earlier, I went to a workshop all day, Monday, just yesterday, and it was AI and curriculum. And it really talked about how kids can use AI as like thought partners, give them information about how can I use professional language to write this if they've never written a professional like cover letter. So a lot of information out there about that. And he said, you know, sometimes teachers will take 3 days here and there to teach MLA citations. It's like, AI can help them with their MLA citations. Why are we spending 3 days to teach it? You know what I mean? Like, you can teach them what MLA is and how to get it properly cited so that they can check against AI, but it really will also free up teachers' time to teach other things. Helping to build AI literacy. So there is an AI literacy framework out there that we can take a look at age appropriately for how to teach kids about AI and how to use it, especially ethically, and how to generate content critically and then evaluate what is created. Making sure that our staff receives professional development in the use of AI before they're using it, that they understand exactly what our policy says they can do and they cannot do, what students can do and what they cannot do. So I had already asked principals, seeing this progression, to hold off a day, one of our 3 days in August. And we're gonna dive into the policy with our teachers, look at the resources that we have and how we can use those with our kids. And I was pleasantly surprised when I met with our teacher leader group last week. I met with elementary and secondary separately, thinking secondary is probably using it more and maybe differently. And they are using it differently, but when I pulled the analytics, they're using it about the same percentage. So they were using it in elementary and secondary. Now we only pulled teacher analytics to see how they were using it on this resource that we're looking at, and it's pretty evenly split. So that was nice to see. What this policy does not do is does not replace educators with technology, and it does not replace the humanistic part of us as far as evaluations and hiring and decision making, and it does not allow for unrestricted student access. So that was a lot, but wanted to give you a general overview of what's in this policy and why it's in this policy.
Dr. Berryman, with technology, it seems like many times policies are way behind some of the emerging things that happen. That's the par for the course, not just with AI. In your opinion, is this policy written generally enough that it anticipates future issues so that we're not coming back to this time and time again and having to update it, in your opinion?
So that's interesting that you say that, because when we took a look at this, and I thought about this yesterday too when I was at that conference, I think this is general enough because we're not putting the resources in here. I thought back to when we first, and I don't know if any of you guys were around I know Alan, when we started technology policies, we listed anything we could conceivably think might be technology or a device. And the policy was like this long and had a whole list of stuff. Well, by the time we approved it, it was already outdated. So we kept this general enough. You'll see in there's a process for getting things approved. There's not a list on here of what's approved, but it will be on the list because of the COBA in the beginning of the school year. So like parents have to be able to see that, and it has to be age appropriate.
And at the secondary level, especially with ELA and the papers that we write and things like that and projects, our students are allowed to incorporate this, but we are expecting them to cite it if they are using it in some way, shape, or form.
I don't know if our teachers are at the point they're letting them use it and citing it yet.
Okay.
I know that they're allowing some thought partners or having it, because you can use some tools to say, give me some feedback, like check my grammar, check my sentence structure, did I provide enough evidence in this essay, or, but I don't know that they're having them cite their AI yet. I don't know that.
Thank you. And then finally, I know you had just put out something to our leadership team about some of our summer professional development, which I really appreciate you doing that this early, and I'm sure they have a lot of thoughts. My personal opinion is this might be a pretty good topic for part of that experience that we have this summer to help our leadership team deal with. It's certainly, and I also commend you and our team for addressing this now and not waiting till later till we've had issues.
I was interested yesterday because I knew that this area, a lot of schools didn't have their policies yet, and I ran into a friend of mine from the western part of the state. I hadn't seen her for a little while, and I said, "Do you guys have your policy yet?" He goes, "No, do you?" And I said, "Tomorrow night I'm taking it to the committee," and he's like, "Once you have it, can you share it?" So I told him that we would work on sharing with him as well.
For a price?
Well,
Just kidding.
I can't give away all my secrets. No. But anyway, we are excited to get something into place so that we can start using it with our kids in a more deliberate fashion and our teachers in a more deliberate fashion. And we are looking at a resource right now. Our teacher leaders are really exploring it and taking a look at it, and we're going to bring you some information about that in April.
And as this evolves, like we don't have to wait for it to come back around, to policy 815. That's like pretty far down the line. We can pull it and update as needed.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like Al said, AI is so fast and evolving. Like if something comes out, and PSBA does a nice job too, like if something really comes out like in law or legislation, they'll push us a new version. And that cues Carrie and I that we need to bring it back in front of the board.
Okay, any other questions on 815.3? And this is all PSBA framework
Yes.
with our staff and like the committee that you assembled.
Yes.
And putting in your thoughts and adapting it for our district.
Yes, so the majority of this, well, it's PSBA, and then we selected the appropriate, bringing that up, the appropriate individuals that you'll see throughout as far as who would be responsible. We also made sure we really hit AI literacy for students and staff so that everybody is getting the information they need to use AI ethically and with integrity.
Okay, any other questions? Is the committee in favor of moving the 3 policies that we reviewed tonight forward with
Yes.
the adjustments we
With the
made?
adjustment.
Okay. All right, anything else, Dr.
I do have a couple of things, if that's okay. It's over now, but tonight was 8th grade curriculum night. So our 8th graders are up seeing the high school. They're taking a look at what classes they're going to take next year. So for those of you at home, if you have an 8th grader, they will be working on selecting their courses. So take a look at those. If you're not doing anything Friday afternoon, we're having our first ever Ag Olympics. So if you could go up to the high school, I don't know exactly what time it's starting. I was 1:30. What is it?
It's last period.
1:45. Okay. I saw a list of lineup. It sounds pretty interesting. And then they're going to do a quick flip and turn the gym into an activity center because then we start mini-thon at 6 p.m. through 6 a.m. So busy weekend for the high school, and then next weekend is Cinderella. Oh, I do have one other thing. I have a handout for this committee. They had asked a while ago when we were together for some research on a couple of different questions. So I have that research for you, but we don't have new business on this. So what I'm going to do is give you the research, and then you need to reach out to Nick and I if it needs to go on to an agenda in April or May.
All right, the board met in executive session on February 23rd to discuss the superintendent search. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'd like to call Pennsylvania Sunshine Act violation on that comment.
State your objection.
My objection is, under the 7 rules for holding a executive session, which I'll state here, unless you understand them. Discussing personnel matters, number 1, holding an information strategy negotiation session related to negotiation of collective bargaining agreement, considering the purchase or lease of real property, consulting with an attorney about active or pending litigation, discussing agency business, which, if conducted in public, would violate the lawful privilege or lead to disclosure of information or confidentiality protected by law, discussing certain academic matters. This reason is specific, limited to certain institutions of higher education, and discussing certain public safety issues if disclosure of the information discussed will be reasonably likely to jeopardize or threaten public safety or preparedness of public protection. The February 23rd meeting and the scope of what you just said is not accurate because it was also used to attack 2 board members, Donna Bayless and Dwayne Sullivan,
Objection.
during the meeting. That's not legal. So I object to what your scope.
The objections overruled. The superintendent search is a personnel matter. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. For the second time.
Second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
He didn't say it wasn't a personal matter. He said that you talk about other things beyond the scope of what you specified. But, you know, that's why you shouldn't be ruling on your own, object on your own violations.
How'd it go, guys?
Sounds amazing.
Really? All right, let's vote.